Welcome to the Gateless podcast, the place where remarkable women share their journeys to success on their own terms. I'm Kara. I'm an executive at a tech startup, and I've been in this game since pretty much the beginning of my career.
And I'm Haley. I'm the owner of a subscription website serving thousands of real estate agents around the globe.
And together, we're the co-founders of Gateless, a thriving community where women share openly and support each other on their own paths to success.
We believe that every woman has a unique story and perspective that deserves to be heard.
So each episode, we'll be bringing you inspiring interviews with incredible women who have forged their own paths, overcome challenges, and achieve their version of success.
From entrepreneurs and tech leaders to doulas and creative trailblazers, we'll dive deep into their stories, uncovering their lessons, insights, and advice they've gained along the way.
Our mission is to connect and uplift women in all aspects of their professional lives.
So get ready to be inspired, motivated, and enlightened.
Welcome to the Gateless podcast. So as we interview incredible women about their journey to success, our first discussion is going to be with our very own Haley. And it's really about how Haley scaled her side hustle to a multi-million-dollar business. And there's so much to learn from Haley, and we're excited to share this conversation with you.
Yeah, I'm excited to chat about it.
Okay, so Haley, how did you go from an idea to just launching Coffee and Contracts? I know that it wasn't a linear path.
Yeah.
And there's a lot to share, so let's start there.
Okay. So I guess I could start from the beginning maybe of just a little bit of, how it even started, how it happened. So basically I started as a real estate agent. Before I was a real estate agent, I was in college and I got a marketing internship at a brokerage. I honestly had no idea what I wanted to do with my life and my career. I was undecided for as long as I could be. But I was always interested in graphic design and marketing. So I ended up getting a marketing internship and at a real estate brokerage. But there I started to learn more about the real estate industry, and I got to see agents just in their day-to-day, lives. And I was like, ooh, I think I could be a real estate agent. This looks fun. So I ended up getting my license and decided that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to be a real estate agent, but I really didn't know what it entailed. I was at a small brokerage, so I didn't quite understand that you were going to be generating your own leads, and door knocking and cold calling was a big part of the business. So I moved to St. Pete after college and started a career in real estate. Didn't go very well.
What does that mean? Didn't go very well.
Yeah, good question. Well, I didn't understand that I was going to really need to be putting myself out there and just kind of just trying to drum up leads. Like I said, I was at a small brokerage, so they kind of gave me a bunch of leads. So I just didn't know what I was getting into.
I was like, here's your license.
Yeah. Yeah. They don't really tell you. They don't really explain how to run the business aspect. So basically, it didn't go well. They were charging me, the brokerages charge you every month. So I was just running, I had no money. I was bartending also. But basically, I created an Instagram account to, try to generate leads and get business. And I just, always liked marketing. So that's what I did. And I started actually generating leads through Instagram, which was awesome. Started seeing some business there. It was starting to grow. But at the same time, I was also realizing that I hated real estate. I hated conflict and having to answer the phone all the time. So all that was happening at the same time, other real estate agents started reaching out and asking me, for help with their social media marketing. So I started doing social media management for them. Long story short, all this time is just messy. I made an Etsy account and was selling templates for real estate agents on there. I was creating logos for agents. And I met this girl who, started her name is Katie Sonier, shout out. But I met her. She told me how, she went from one-on-one personal training clients and turned it into a membership website where her clients get a weekly workout program and they have a Facebook group. And then it kind of clicked for me. oh, wait, I think I could do this for like my clients. So I just started building this website on WordPress and created an Instagram account called Coffee and Contracts because I thought it was cute, and just started posting stuff. Thank you. Just started posting stuff, and then within like 3 months, I had a ton of members and was able to quit all my other jobs. And then it was my full-time thing, and that's just been it ever since. So yeah, that's kind of like the background story, how we got here.
So when you first started it though, and you created the website and you were like, okay, I'm done with being an agent. Did you realize that it was going to be a full-time thing, or did it feel in your mind where you're like, okay, I guess this will be my side hustle so that I can actually pay my bills, or were you all in?
Yeah. So when I started, it was definitely just a side hustle. I remember like feeling almost like embarrassed. Nobody that I knew like knew I was doing it. I was just kind of like doing it on the side.
Incognito.
Yeah. I was like, I was mysterious. And so I had no idea what it was going to be. I was just literally like just playing around. And I also like love that stuff. I could spend hours just like building a website or creating stuff in Canva. Like I love it. So it was really fun. Like, and it was a great distraction from everything else I was supposed to be doing. And at the time I had finally like pretty much given up on real estate and I had got a job at a doctor's office and I was doing marketing, which was basically I was just supposed to go to other doctors' offices and try to sell them on. I was like, if you guys need, this type of doctor, then come join us. It was not fun. I decided once I had enough members that it was the amount of my salary, then I could quit. And then it still didn't feel real. I was like, this is really scary and sketchy. Like,
sketchy.
Yeah. I was like, I mean, is this real? Like,
yeah.
And then it just kept growing. And so I was like, oh, I guess it never really felt real until probably like a year. And it didn't feel, it never really feels like completely comfortable.
Yeah.
Nothing really does, I guess. But it took a while to be like, okay, this is legitimate, I guess,
Yeah, absolutely. Any lessons that you took away from the early days of this, whether it be about like, oh my gosh, how do I actually make this a legitimate business, to, like, how do I get over feeling like this isn't real and just accept the fact that this is my full-time job and I'm in it?
I would say don't be afraid to like reach out to people that have been in the same position, or like, people that started their own business and ask them for advice and for their experience. I didn't really like have too much of that. And also this is just at the time in 2019, an online business like this was like still pretty new and weird. So it was just like, everybody's like, what are you doing? And I was like, I don't know. And like at the time, social media management, or maybe just cause I'm so in the, world of it all the time, I feel like it's a lot more common. And at the time it was like, you log into people's accounts and you like post for them and you're like, so it was kind of like everything was new. And so like where I was getting at that is that I was like, I don't know who to really talk to about this. But yeah, so I would say reach out to your resources, and also trust your gut and just like do what feels right and keep doing it, even if other people are saying things and you still feel like your gut is saying yes, but everybody else is saying no, then it's like, just trust your gut, because
we'll always be haters.
Yeah.
So when you were growing your brand so that it felt marketable, reputable, legitimate to the public, the market, where did you start? And I think that, like, if you could help us understand, like, truly, where do you start when you start to build a brand? That would be so helpful. Yeah.
So from my experience, and I feel like it differs based on, like, just the type of business or product or service or whatever. For me, I started on Instagram, just creating, like, building a community. And at the time, things were a little different. Like, nowadays, videos are huge. Obviously, reels are huge. Back then, it was like graphics were pretty big. And that was like a way that you could build a community. So I started on Instagram with like just creating graphics that I liked and posting them and connecting with other agents through Instagram, and building that community and engaging with them, asking like what they wanted, what they needed, what they were struggling with, and kind of building out our offer based on that. Like, and in the beginning, our coffee and contract started like it was just you sign up for the subscription, and there's just like a bunch of random templates that I made in there, and the plan was like I'm just gonna add more every month. And then I added some captions like one of the first months, and everybody was like, that was amazing, we want more of those. And I was like, oh, maybe I should do like a daily caption and a daily social media post. And then from there, so they kind of gave me the feedback that like made the product, I guess. But it started with the community first. So now that's what I feel like if I'm doing something like with Gateless or whatever it is, starting with the community first, even if you have like kind of an idea and you're not really sure what it's going to be yet, then you ask everyone like, hey, you're my people.
Tell us what you want.
Yeah. What do you need? Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
It prevents you from burning so many cycles and time and energy creating stuff that nobody actually wants to.
Yeah.
Like, the whole point of creating a community and building a brand is to add value. And so ask your people.
Yeah.
What's going to be valuable to you. I love that. That's such a good one. So I feel like I already know the answer to this question, but were there moments of doubt? Tell us about, like, were you ready to jump ship at any point in the first couple of years of this because it just all became too much, or like you just couldn't get your head in the game to keep going?
Yeah, there's been multiple. I feel like I kind of look back at like the last 4 years, and I see it in kind of like really big ups and downs, sometimes of like just extreme motivation and creativity and like excitement, and then it literally like the next day it could be like just absolute like I'm almost like just like in a hole of like no motivation, no creativity, like self, like imposter syndrome, self-doubt, like, oh my God, who do I think I am? And like, you start to compare yourself to, like, I don't know, as a small business, for some reason, I compare myself to like big businesses, and I'm like, what are you doing? But I'm just like, I don't have the resources that other people have. I'm not smart enough. Like, so there's just been kind of like peaks and valleys of that. I feel like maybe some of that goes into like burnout, and sometimes I'll go too hard and get too excited, and then I just completely burn myself out. But tons of that. I think the biggest struggle for me has definitely been like the comparison trap, like I mentioned. And just like if you get too deep into that, into like looking at other people that are doing similar things, looking at their social media and just being like, oh my gosh, look at all the amazing things they're doing. Like, I suck. And then on the other hand, also a really big thing for me has been trying to manage a team and like hiring people. And I feel like that has definitely been just like, I mean, that's kind of all goes into like my own personal development and growth. I feel like it's gotten easier as I like, you know, obviously as I grow and learn and stuff, but I guess it's all kind of coming back to like just remembering that like nobody knows what they're doing, and I'm literally just figuring it out as everyone has in the history of time. Yep.
I mean, it's not even been that long, and you've built such an incredible company. So obviously you've been very consistent, even if it felt like peaks and valleys, which everything does. Like, life is peaks and valleys, but the consistency is my takeaway from what you just described. That's for sure. So how does one even figure out what to price? I know that pricing and packaging and all that can be kind of taboo to talk about, but we're not about taboo topics here. We talk about everything. Exactly. How does one even determine what to charge for a service like this?
It's really hard, especially even thinking about when I did social media management. That was so hard to figure out what to price or what to charge people. And there's so many different methods that people use for that. And so when I started, I had no idea what to price things. I don't even know how I came up with it. I just was like, there's going to be 3 tiers, because I think there's like with these types of businesses, there has to be 3 tiers. So we're going to have the small one, which is, I decided it was $9 a month, $14 a month, and then $19 a month. And there was no like method to that. So yeah, I just had no idea what I was doing. But then I realized once I launched, everybody signed up for the $19 a month. Nobody signed up for the smaller packages. Okay. I just don't think there was enough in there. Like, there was no value in the smaller ones, even though I don't know. So $19 a month. Then I decided a few months later, maybe like I launched in September of 2019. In spring of 2020, I decided to raise the prices to $34 a month. And I decided that everyone who signed up at $19 a month could be grandfathered in. And just like the OGs, you know?
Yeah.
So we moved everyone to 34, or not, we didn't move everyone. It now was $34 a month. And that price felt really good for a while. And also keep in mind, I was adding more and more value, like into the membership. It was just like we kept adding things. So it kept being more things that people are getting access to. And then like, I think it was about a year or so later, decided to raise the price to $54 a month. And everyone who was at $34 a month was grandfathered in at $34 a month. And it's been 54 for quite a while now. I feel like I kind of settled on that price, and I feel like it's a good price.
Yeah, but pro tip, if you want to sign up, do it now because
because
you'll be grandfathered in.
Exactly. So maybe that's kind of what's working is people are like, I got to get in now.
Yeah.
But now looking back, if I could have told myself, if I was having a conversation with myself when I was trying to figure out what to price it, I would have been like, price it high, you know, because it's hard to, people were not happy, even though like people were being grandfathered in, they would email us and be like infuriated. And we'd be like, you're going to be grandfathered in. Everything is fine. And they'd be like, okay.
Yeah.
But people get very upset when you raise the price, obviously.
Sure, yeah.
So it's much easier to start high and then always run. If it's too high, just have a sale.
A sale. Yeah, like promotions or
yeah. And you can always go down on the price. But it's much harder. It's much easier to go down than it is to go up. So if I could go back to myself. But also I still didn't feel like the value was there for, I wouldn't have priced it at $54 a month back then.
Right.
It got there. But also don't be afraid to raise your prices. Like I feel like I could have done it earlier. So yeah.
Do you, I guess we've talked about like the consumer that you're adding value to, and that makes a ton of sense. But when you've thought about pitching coffee and contracts, or when you have pitched coffee and contracts, are you having those conversations with investors? Or I know this is self-funded, but like, how do you think about pitching the value of your brand and being really crispy and concise on like the value prop, the mission statement, all of the things that one who's going to invest in the business, or, you know, I don't know, that would potentially want to partner with you, care about? Like, how do you think about getting really tight on representing your brand when you're talking to a partner, an investor, anybody like that?
Mm-hmm. Well, I feel like it first comes down to figuring that out for yourself. And like, it took me a while, honestly. I feel like I didn't do things right. I kind of did things backwards. So I didn't like sit down in the beginning and say like, who's my ideal member and what's our mission statement and what are our values? Like it took me like years to be like, okay, I think I'm supposed to know this stuff. And then you start working with people. So I hire like a website developer, and he's like, we need to figure out who we're talking to. And I'm like, oh yeah.
Good idea.
So I feel like I've just kind of recently like have been figuring all of that stuff out. I've definitely kind of done it backwards, but I feel like it is so helpful once you do sit down and say, who is my ideal client or member and who am I talking to? And then everything, just your messaging, like I feel like it's all about the messaging. You want people to come on your social media and your website and be able to walk away and know exactly what you offer and what you do. And for a while, our brand was very confusing, honestly. Like I've always struggled with that. Like people are like, so what do you offer? Like, what do you do? And I'm like, tons of stuff.
Anything.
You know, just join.
You name it, I'll do it.
Just join, you know, it's in there. So it is important, I think, to get really clear on how, like, what your person, your ideal client is struggling with, and then how you are the solution to that.
Yeah, and you don't have to be everything. You just are what you are, and you have the value that you have.
That has been really hard.
Yeah, you don't also have to make pizza or make people coffee. You can just be what you
struggling with that. Like I've recently, like I said, kind of figured out who my ideal client is, and there's like this whole other group of potential like people that, you know, reach out to us or whatever that have always like, I've always been like, I don't know. It just never aligned. I was like, I just
Felt like you were trying to fit.
Yeah,
like,
I was
something.
like, I need to make something for these people. And then I was like, wait, no, I think I'm just not for these people.
Yeah.
And I need to accept that. Like,
not your people.
Yeah, it's hard because you're like, I mean, it's there, but it's not aligned. It's like, and I'm speaking of people that our product is basically like, you take the templates and use them to create something. Like you customize it to you. You have to put a little bit of work in. Like, it's not completely done for you. It's done with you.
Yep.
We don't have a done for you option right now. And a lot of people are like, where do I plug in my social media so that things automatically post? And I'm like, well, that's not going to work. And then I'm like, it just frustrated me so much. I'm like, okay, those just, let them go somewhere else. It's not your people.
Yeah, totally. Well, you have so much going on, but it seems like you manage and balance it so well with your personal life and staying healthy and staying happy and having a social life and all these things. So, what's the secret?
It's definitely a struggle. I feel there's definitely seasons. It's not always. It's not, I don't know. Like right now I'm kind of in a season of working a little bit too much. And then I go through seasons where I'm not working enough,
Happens.
It's just like not perfect in any way for anyone, I don't think. But I mean, I just have to, one thing that's like important to me that sometimes I go through ups and downs with is just prioritizing my kind of non-negotiables, especially like in the morning of like, sometimes it's tempting to like wake up and your inbox is full and you have things you want to get done and you're like still in your pajamas and you haven't brushed your teeth and you're like, you want to get on your computer.
Oh yeah.
I'm like, no, we need to like sit for a second and be a person.
Yeah.
And I think, sometimes I've been wondering a lot too, if a lot of that is working in itself becomes a distraction, even as like scrolling on TikTok is a distraction or watching TV is a distraction from what you're really feeling inside and what you're struggling with.
Ooh, yeah.
Work really becomes, at least for me, another like numbing tactic that my body is like, let's just numb out the brain for a little bit.
Yeah, well, there's a lot we could dig into there.
Yeah.
Like,
Sorry to draw that
what do you, can you give us an example of like, do you just mean a distraction from the things you need to do for yourself, like the house stuff,
well, know how like an anxious mind or something, like you just want to shut it off for a while and not have to think about like your real problems or your real feelings that you're struggling with. I definitely think that I'll turn to work sometimes to forget about all that, or just to focus on little minute.
Like you become a taskmaster.
I'm
as
like,
opposed to thinking about like, okay, what's the bigger picture here?
Yeah. So sometimes I feel like I'm a lot healthier if I wake up in the morning and I literally get my coffee and I sit and do nothing, like just stare into space. It's kind of creepy. Like if you walked into my house in the morning, you can see me sitting in that chair and I'm just like,
it's your I mean, that's morning meditation. Right there.
That's true.
That's
so I can't, if I try to meditate, it gets frustrating. I'm working on it.
You prefer the zombie stare?
Yeah, just staring off into space. It works. And I don't know what goes on in the morning, but I feel like it doesn't. I feel like my mind is just like going, and I just let it go for a little bit and see, how I'm feeling. And working out.
Let her do a few rotations before you.
Yeah. I'm like, why don't you do a couple laps?
Yeah, take a lap.
And then, working out and that kind of stuff that makes me feel good.
Yeah.
Having to put that first and then get to the stuff, setting boundaries, that kind of thing.
I love it. I am big on boundaries.
Mm-hmm.
So what advice then do you have for somebody in their 20s or 30s that are thinking about turning their side hustle or their passion into their full-time gig? Or making a business out of it?
To keep doing it. It's like, I feel like this theme keeps coming back for me a lot, just in other things that I'm trying to do. And I think the reason that I saw success in coffee and contracts is because I just kept doing it. Mm-hmm. And even though like it was like, if you look back on the page, I probably like archived a few of the old posts, but like they're just terrible. And I think I just like saw something recently, or someone said something about like, if you want to do like YouTube videos or something, make 100 YouTube videos that are like terrible. Like they're all like, and just do it 100 times. And then like on the 100th one, you'll look back and be like, whoa, I've gotten so much better. So, I mean, it's just literally like that thing of like practicing anything. And another like analogy I heard recently was about like, it's like, you know, creating content for social media or whatever. It's like going to the gym. Like the hardest step is is to get out the door and get into the gym. If you just like force yourself out the door, and just to like start creating stuff or whatever it is you're doing, just like keep doing it, even though it sucks at first. And I think part of that goes with, you have to enjoy what you're doing. So if you hate it, that's why I didn't succeed at real estate, because I couldn't be consistent because it felt so unnatural to me.
That's huge.
Yeah, you have to actually like enjoy the process, I think, of getting better and, you know. Yeah,
that's huge. And that goes for everything in life, like consistency, just small, tiny, 1% better. 1% better every time. That feels a lot more manageable than like, you know, some huge lofty goal. But okay, so we're going to do 3 rapid fire questions.
Okay, yay.
I think we're going to do this. Let's do it on every episode.
Yeah.
Sound good?
Yeah.
Okay, what did you want to be when you grew up?
I wanted to be a lot of things when I grew up.
Classic.
I feel like the number one, there was a few. The number one was veterinarian, like every girl in the world. I wanted to be, specifically, I wanted to work at SeaWorld. I know it's kind of controversial now, but back then it was
marine
normal.
Biologist.
I wanted to be specifically a dolphin trainer.
Oh, okay.
And,
like
but I
skipper.
didn't, but I was, and my mom would be like, well, you're going to have to be good at science. And I was like, I don't.
Yikes.
She was like, you're going to have to be okay with like giving them a shot. And I was like, no, I don't think so. So
you wanted to cuddle with the dolphins.
Yes,
basically.
Still do.
Yeah, got it. What was your first job out of college?
I worked at a smoothie bar and wrap bar at a gym. So I made smoothies and wraps.
Nice.
Yeah.
And what was your first job in general? Like in life?
Oh, like as an adult?
I think just your first job.
Oh, wait, did I say out of college for the last one?
Yeah.
Oh, that wasn't my first job out of college. Sorry. My first job out of college was the internship at the brokerage.
Oh, okay.
Pretty much. And then real estate.
Okay.
I never had a real like corporate office type job.
But your first job in life was the smoothie shop?
That was the smoothie.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Fun.
You're like, I didn't know about the smoothie thing.
Like, interesting. Fun. Okay, cool. Well, thank you, Haley.
Yeah, thank you. This is fun.
Thank you for joining us on this episode of the Gateless podcast. We really hope you've enjoyed this conversation as much as we have.
Remember, the Gateless community is at your fingertips, where the conversation never stops, and women support each other on the road to success, one story at a time.
If you've enjoyed this episode, don't forget to subscribe, rate, and leave a review. It's like giving us a virtual high five.
And while you're at it, share the podcast with your fellow anti-gatekeepers.
Until next time, keep chasing your dreams and breaking those glass ceilings. After all, you are the master of your own success story.
Thanks for being part of the Gateless journey. Catch you later.